turn off all of my
At the very beginning. Here we go. Good morning. This is Dr. Matthew Dunn, host of The Future of Email. My guest today from Raza.io, Erica Rench, Chief Operating Officer, correct?
That's correct.
Welcome. Nice to connect with you live. I've talked with one of your colleagues frequently.
That's great.
We geek out a lot, but you and I first chance to meet right here in public.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Fill in people on Raza, elevator size version.
Absolutely. So the very high level pitch about Raza is that instead of sending one email newsletter to 10,000 or 20,000 subscribers, you're sending 20,000 different versions of an email based on people's prior reading preferences and behaviors. So in the same way, for better or worse, your social media feed knows what content to serve you up based on what you've read in the past. We do that in an email. So we make it for a much more engaging email experience. You're providing value to subscribers so that when it does come time to buy and when you are asking them to make a transaction, you've already provided value and you're already top of mind. And a newsletter is such a valuable tool to do that. So we help you make your newsletter smarter.
It's come up in any number of past conversations that I've had the opportunity to have with people from other parts of the email space that there's this sort of second, third, 43rd life for email in newsletters. Yeah, it's really taking off.
Really taking off. I mean, when you think about the newsletter task, it's not necessarily like the sexiest thing, right?
No.
But
No.
An email is sort of a dinosaur, but you're totally right. It's having a resurgence. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the email and newsletter space. And for better or worse, email is a very effective channel to communicate with your subscribers for return on investment. I mean, it time and again, it proves itself.
Why do you think that swing with newsletters and email is happening? Any thoughts?
This is just my idea, but I feel like it's a more intimate way to get someone's point of view on something and to interact with a brand than social media. Social's, of course, not going anywhere anytime soon, but I think when you're hearing someone's voice through a newsletter, it's just, it's not like a crack shoot, whether or not you're going to see it. You know that you're probably going to land in someone's inbox, and it's an intimate way to communicate with your end user.
Yeah. And it, one of my thoughts, just to tag onto that, because I like what you just said about it. The paywall mechanism that sort of backed its way into being as content control started to matter for of journalism. It's
right.
I'll be reading something in the morning. It'll pop me in a link somewhere and be like, oh, do I have an account there? What's the password? Oh, bugger it. I'll just skip it. Right.
Right. We work with a few newspaper organizations that are.
You.
Yep. It's a good way to disseminate their content and make sure that, they're sending people the right stories from their online publication.
Yeah. And let's go a different direction. And this may be a question I take up with your colleague Paul later in a geek way, but you have to balance that. Well, he always reads stuff on X, Y, and Z, so send him more of that. No, we also want him to get this, and this.
Right.
Right. You don't want to create a complete email filter bubble around each reader.
You're so right. So one of our company values is our core purpose is to better inform the world. Our company values is to tell it like it is. So we have to kind of balance making sure that we're sending people content that is specifically recommended to them with, we want to expose them to content that is not necessarily just based on their prior clicks and behaviors.
Right. Okay.
So we always reserve a portion of the email real estate for non-specific recommended content. It's still from like the organization's pre-approved pool of content,
sure, but
it's not going to be just based on their clicks.
Okay, gotcha. And having used Raza myself, although not in depth, I understand a bit about the control mechanisms that the editor, for lack of a better word,
Right. No, that's exactly right. Yep.
Right. Has to say, no, 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 everyone should get this. That should definitely go out
Yep.
on other stuff. Yeah, we'll see. Fascinating. Um, I was intrigued that Raza's starting point, at least my read on it, was
Mhm.
associations.
Yeah, that's sort of our beachhead. We have a great following in that space.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense because for associations and nonprofit organizations, it's not necessarily all about the bottom line. It's about engaging their community of subscribers,
Yeah.
engaging their people, sending them value. And so newsletters are at the core of, I'd say, 95% of association strategies to engage people.
Yeah.
So being able for them to be able to personalize the member experience is extraordinarily valuable.
Yeah. Well, and without headcount necessarily, without adding, right, someone whose job it is,
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
right, to tackle that impossible task of, keep up with the speaker cone industry and everything that's happening with supply, whatever the association's all about.
Right. And you're so right. We very often lead with the AI personalization, really forward thinking tech. But a lot of the editors, the people who actually, boots on the ground putting together a newsletter really appreciate the time savings aspect because
Yeah.
we're bringing curation into the platform. It's
Yes.
curation and send all in one. So you're not having to scour the internet to find the articles. You're not having to piece together an email every week.
Yeah.
All of the tedious stuff that comes along with newsletter construction goes away.
I had, this just occurred to me. I didn't think of this before we had this on the calendar, but I had sort of jury rigged pieces of Raza's execution a few years back when I first stabbed at a newsletter for this company campaign.
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
one platform for send, a different one for consolidating content, and this
Sure.
monumentally cumbersome. If you do the right copy and paste and hold your pinky up, it'll get into the same
Right.
platform intact. And it was such a pain in the butt. It was
Such a pain in the butt.
horrible.
And you might, and sometimes folks are rewriting descriptions and like you take the title of your blog and you're like, well, maybe I'll change that for the newsletter. And it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain. And despite the length of time that email, web, and so on have been around, they're not really super connected. It's a lot of work to make something flow from here into there with with the pictures formatting, whatever else intact and not.
And the pictures. Yeah. Yeah. So we've done a ton of work on our templating so that the templates are super dynamic to account for different length of titles and different length of descriptions and different sizes of imagery. And so we dynamically are placing all of that in personalized format.
Now listen to you. I'm gonna have some fun with you. Listen to you. You're like software terminology rolling off the tongue, and you were not forever in this software space. You were at university gig for quite a stretch, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's when my love affair with email began. I suppose I worked. Yeah. I worked for Tulane's admission office out of college.
Yeah,
and primarily a recruitment role. So I was going around the country. Trying to get students to come down and selling New Orleans, selling Tulane, and then, but I evolved into sort of a marketing role there. And one of my primary jobs was to use MailChimp to try to figure out how to send emails that cater to different students' interests because we have all different kinds of disciplines and majors at Tulane. So this is I've never thought about it from this perspective. I was manually figuring out segments of students, trying to figure out which news was the hottest and matching that to the students, all manually working on a spreadsheet. I mean, this was back in, 2008.
Yeah.
So if the tools existed, I certainly didn't have them. But it was a very manual process to try to match students' interests to like the latest news. But that was my first experience. And then I worked in, digital agency after that.
Okay.
Where we didn't touch email.
That's actually not uncommon in my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Agencies like, we'll do this, this, this. Oh, email. No.
Oh, it's so hard to do in a
It,
quality way. Yeah.
well put. Yeah, I agree. Hard to do in a quality way, and a
Mhm.
bit of a specialized knowledge set to do it well.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it comes at the expense of so many other things where you feel like you get a better bang for your buck.
I certainly agreed, and I think there's some efficiencies of action in other digital channels. Let's pick on social media because I like picking on social media and
Yeah.
email. Like there's a lot of corners you can't cut. It's hard. It's hard, detailed, fussy work. And
Completely.
for
Yeah.
agency, I would think it wouldn't be that could be not that cost effective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's still, there's the variable cost that goes along with sending it out. Not to say that other digital services don't have variable costs, but it's that plus the amount of time it takes to format, and you don't feel that instant gratification from it, even though it's so important to nurture through email.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guest on this podcast 6, 8 months ago. Actually, he's from a small town, Louisiana. Wayne from Ugly Mug Marketing. Great, like amazing marketer.
Thanks. Oh, cool. I'm gonna look that's a name that
Isn't it great?
that is unique and stands out. Yep.
He said their email, because their agency does handle email. He said their email function was actually with their, print and non-digital media function, which I thought was kind of intriguing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reach out to those folks at Ugly Mug Marketing.
They're at
About Rafa.
I forget the relatively small town where he was like born and raised, but I'm pretty sure it's Louisiana. I'm going to give myself an extra cup of coffee.
I'm on their website right now.
Are you?
Right. Well, let's see. Contact us. They are. Now I'm so curious. It doesn't say. Well, not you. I'll look it up later.
There you go. Well, one of the things that struck me about your company and platform when I was getting to know it was, wow, this is applicable in the technology. The things you're doing are applicable in a whole bunch of new domains, and I've got to think you've got aims to expand and build further. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the association folks we have so many great partners in that space. The next, and we also have a lot of great partners in the marketing agency space, because what they do is they use Rasa to manage for multiple clients. So we've been really working hard on that over the past year, is making it easy to manage, 10, 20 newsletters from your one instance of Rasa, roll that all up. In some cases, they can white label it depending on the plan that they're on. So that if they need to have a client log in to just their newsletter, they'll see their agency's branding as opposed to the Rasa branding. So that's been another sort of sweet spot for us.
Because I mean, that hooks back to what we were just talking about, the challenge of email inside an agency, the workload. You've got a straight up proposition, right?
Exactly. So that's what I always say, that the agency that I came from, I wish we had Rasa, because we could have included email in our clients' packages.
Yeah.
And had it be not, a super heavy lift. So now, they can pay the Rasa sort of self-service prices and then charge a margin on top of that for the newsletter management. I mean, just the management in general is a valuable proposition.
Yeah. And at the same time, it puts you guys in that endlessly fascinating about the email space. Every company finds a sweet spot. I was talking with Andrew Kornick yesterday from iPost, longtime email agency guy, now part of an ESP, and there are well over 200 ESPs, each with their niche and strengths, and hundreds beyond that. And you just described Rasa having a really, key and critical set of functions that meet that need inside agencies that, honestly, a MailChimp does not serve well.
Not well, no, especially because they're kind of going down that, CRM path, and they're starting to do that really well. And that's what their focus is.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what becomes of. I should try and get someone from Mailchimp on for a conversation.
If you do, let me know. I'd like to join that conversation.
I huge respect for Mailchimp. Like what an achievement as a company, and some of their innovations in UI. I think had a really positive effect on the space, like them doing the simplified block, drag and drop editor
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
and putting in front of thousands and thousands of customers
Right.
shoved everyone that direction. That's my read on it. Arm's length.
Yeah. And ease of use, right? Like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
everything's so user friendly. And a lot of people, we have an integration with MailChimp. A lot of people use Rasa alongside MailChimp because MailChimp's great for, like sequence campaigns
Yes.
last. And then Rasa is the newsletter engine. And so you can just sync subscribers across your
Oh, nice.
MailChimp and Rasa really easily. Yeah.
Nice. That makes a ton of sense. Although you have to keep track of a surprising amount of detail about each subscriber to do the magic of, oh,
Oh, yeah.
she's interested in this.
Yes.
This. Yeah. Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Kind of a reverse funnel structure.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I know from conversations with other Raza folks that HubSpot is an area of interest for you
A
now.
huge area of interest. Yeah. And in the same way that you can use Rasa alongside a MailChimp or a constant contact or an active campaign, you can use alongside HubSpot. And now HubSpot is where we have the richest integration. So we have between, I think, 20 and 30 integrations at this point. But with HubSpot, it's not just a subscriber sync, but so the concept data that we have about each individual subscriber, we're sending that back in HubSpot. So if you look up Matthew in your HubSpot instance, you can see what topic Matthew's interested.
Yeah. Okay.
Rasa. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, philosophically, I would say philosophically quite aligned, Raza and HubSpot.
Yeah.
And,
Very much so. Yeah.
and their API set would probably be a welcome relief after MailChimp. Like, I being a geek, right? Like, I know there's a whole lot of nouns and verbs in HubSpot land that you could work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in close connection with the folks over there. Scott Brinker, who's one of the the fathers of MarTech, is even the name and the thing. He was kind enough to
the big MarTech landscape graphic, isn't that Brinker?
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah, he was kind enough to meet with us. We have a great partner coordinator over there. And so we're in their marketplace now.
Yeah.
So if you're a HubSpot user and you need a newsletter, a fast, smart newsletter, go use Rasa.
Well, let's make that the lead line for this episode, because seriously, I would guess many, if not most of the organizations using HubSpot want to do a newsletter or want to do a better job of the one they've got. Face exactly the struggles that you've worked to solve inside the platform.
Right. And now you can get your data, your Rasa data directly in HubSpot. So it hopefully is pretty seamless for folks.
Wow. That's exciting. When did that go live, the marketplace?
So the marketplace went live about 3 weeks ago. So it's very recent.
Really recent. Okay, nice.
But we already had about 100 different downloads for API calls from Rasa. I just got 1 second. My power cord just told me that it wasn't working.
Oops.
There we go.
Magic.
Back on.
Well,
We can edit that out.
I can edit that out. That's it. Snip out it comes.
Sniff that one out.
Now you're New Orleans based now, Tulane. Is the whole company there?
The majority of us. So when COVID happened, we pivoted to fully remote pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It was most of our enterprise customers are in DC area, Chicago, out west. So we were already Zooming with clients and Zooming with each other pretty regularly. So it was a natural transition for us. And then we kind of realized, being fully remote allows us to hire talent all over the world. So that's where we are now. And we're going to be remote, but we still have, company gatherings in New Orleans and we can see each other pretty regularly.
Yeah. And as you said, of your Tulane days, so, selling New Orleans, like that's not a bad company pitch either.
Right.
So you ended up in work from home, but juggling kids during
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
pandemic mess.
Well, yeah. So I have a 7-year-old, an almost 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old. But when the pandemic hit, they were,
Yeah.
5 and almost 3, and that's tricky.
It's tricky. Yeah.
That's tricky with 2 full-time working parents to have 2 kids home from school.
Yeah. Mommy's on a Zoom right now. They don't care.
Oh my gosh, there were some great moments. There were some
Yeah.
great.
Uh, Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who
Yeah.
like you look like sisters. She was on a call, like as Prime Minister, was on a teleconference, and one of her
Yes. I mean, like the best, right? I mean,
it's so cool.
in some ways, the pandemic divided us, and in some ways, it brought us a little bit closer together, being able to see each other's homes and families and dogs and cats. Yeah.
Yeah, we've never had that experiment of connecting the workplace
Right.
with the home space. We were at this scale, especially, but we've never done that.
Right. Right. And it's changing. It's really changing the way people work. I've noticed on LinkedIn, so many people are putting their family situations in their headlines, like dad or mom next to their titles. And I think
Yeah.
that that's a really cool progression that we're seeing happen right now.
Yeah, I gotta give President Obama some props on that, because I noticed he did that early on. He was a Barack Obama husband, father. President was like third or fourth in the list.
I love that. I
You are
love that.
bad. You are awesome, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
He's a pretty
first,
cool dude.
yeah, very cool, dude. First things first. I like that. Uh, it has made for some interesting side effects, though. We will get back to email sooner or later, but
No, that's a fun tangent.
it's an interesting tangent, because one of the things that strikes me, we thought houses were big already. As
Oh
we
my
start
gosh.
building more of them, right? Oh my gosh, what are
The house
it's
is my,
bigger
well, we
than-
also bought a house during the past 2 years, and that was selling our first home and then buying a new home all during the madness in the real estate market. It's been quite the adventure.
and it's as crazy there as it is everywhere else, I'm assuming.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, just crazy. And since we bought 8 months ago, it's only gotten worse in terms of how competitive it is.
Yeah. Yes. Same here. I've got to think that the criteria when people are looking has to include, home office space,
Exactly.
not as a maybe, but as as an of course in a lot of cases.
Of course, yeah. We actually, the pandemic forced our move a little bit sooner than I think we really needed, because we had, I think at one point it was the guest room, my daughter's room, and my office all in one room, and that just is not sustainable.
Right. I'm going to have a change of scenery for the future of email in a few months. My older son is coming back and turning the bottom floor of our house into music teaching studio.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. He's going to rock it, but that means that my office space of 25 years um
It's going to
gets
be no more.
moved. Yeah,
Oh, it's moving.
yeah, I'm moving, and I'm going to take over what was their playroom when they were 3, 4, and 5, and turn it into my office space, because I've got to be a long ways away from the bass guitar and whatnot.
Right.
It's gonna be an interesting experiment, and we picked it. I happened to be early on this remote work thing, like trying 1997.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sounds like it.
picked the house because of the floors and structure, and office space was one of the criteria. So watching that happen now, where more and more people are making the decision on that basis, or build on that basis,
Yeah.
going to be fascinating.
You can give them all the wisdom and all the advice.
Yeah, it's as much social engineering as architecture. Did you have to work to get the kids to understand that, no, this is my workspace and I need you to respect it?
Yeah, that was hard for that. When we were 5 and like 2.5 at the time. Yeah, but to an extent, we could do that. I mean,
Well,
it was
they
hard.
get it eventually, right? It's like, don't
They
be,
get it eventually. Yeah, there was a point where I would wake up at like 6 and then I would work from 6 till the end of nap time around 2. And my husband would start work at the beginning of nap and then work through the evening. And it was, and then, the game was just keeping them away from the working space.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Right. Mine learned that relatively early on. And I'd be interested to talk to them about that now, because I know they had the rhythm down,
Yeah.
when they get home from high school. I'd love it when they drop by and fill me in on the day, but there was this unconscious, like, that's a 10-minute conversation.
And then dad has to go back to work.
Yeah, I'm not done. I'm not done. See ya. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But one last thing on pandemic and the work from home thing. I think kids getting to see their parents doing work is a darn good social modeling thing.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And it's been very valuable, I think, for the kids to see what mom does, her interacting with folks. We have the internal meetings where I tell them the meetings where they can say hi. And then the meetings with quote unquote strangers, which, their clients aren't really strangers, but sometimes when you first meet them and they're prospects, they are.
Yeah.
So they knew that difference, like the meetings that they could come say hi versus the ones where mommy was just meeting people for the first time and maybe not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We've all had to get over being camera shy
Exactly.
as well, where this is now, I mean, honestly, quite normal.
Right. It is. I mean, it's been 2 years and change.
Yeah, 2 years and change. Can't wait to get out live. Looking forward to live conferences, but will I continue to, of course, like, this is the way we're going to do business.
I think so. I think in a lot of cases.
It's helped. I'd be curious your perception. My read on it is it's actually really helpful when you're trying to grow a small company into a bigger company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not, yeah, Erica, please get on a plane and fly for a 1-hour meeting in New York so you can pitch us. Like, you don't have to put up with that crap anymore.
Right. It made things a lot more efficient. I think it did make me realize how much time goes into conference preparation, because we're preparing for one of our first bigger conferences in quite some time. That's going to be next month. But man, does a lot of prep go into that.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to, order a new booth display and, do all of it and figure out getting the booth display to DC and, all those logistics. And it was nice to not have to do that for a couple of years. And I think you're right in terms of growth. Focusing on other not in-person channels was probably more efficient, for sure.
There's also that sort of presentation layer thing where, as you just said, now it's sort of normal to be seeing someone's home office or whatever space they happen to be in. And you roll the clock back 3, 4, 5 years, I probably would have gone out of my way to try to make this look more like, like a Microsoft Office space.
Right. Now you don't have to.
Right. You can sort of go, deal with it. Why? Because they're going to be in their bedroom, even if they work for, General Electric or something.
Right. Well, your space actually looks very professional.
It is an office. Yeah. And it is always been an office, and it's never been anything, but, work related stuff. And I have an ungodly array of monitors and cameras.
Mine's actually decently professional. I actually have it tidied up here right now.
The choice of knickknacks and the choice of detail behind people is really an intriguing, anthropology right now. Yeah.
My kid's room is actually behind me as well. So when that door is open, there's a lot more chaos.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I've always had a whiteboard there, but now I'm a little more assiduous about clearing it off before I talk with.
Depending on what that is, yeah.
Yeah, can't think without a whiteboard. Well, let's dive back to email for at least a few minutes before I stop tying up your day. What are the?
This has been great.
What are the unexpected opportunities that you think might go somewhere for Raza and for you, for your team?
Well, the nice thing about our opportunity is that everyone needs a newsletter. And for the folks who don't have a newsletter, everyone you talk to says, "Oh, but I mean to do a newsletter. I mean, I know they need to do one." Yeah. So in terms of the total addressable market, I mean, it's pretty vast. Of course, email is a competitive space, but I think we do things differently enough that it
Agreed.
sets us apart.
Yeah.
And we work nicely with a lot of the 10,000-pound gorillas. How many pound gorillas? We talk nicely to a lot of them. So it's in terms of integration. So I think we have quite the potential.
Big opportunities ahead. It's come up in some other conversations that I've had with folks in this space, but and I've been using this as a conversation starter with them for almost a month now. One of the big enterprise email platforms, ESPs, acquired a pretty sizable email newsletter company about a month ago. And
Which one was that?
Zeta Global acquired Archamax.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of made my antenna stand up, and that is a very lateral move.
What was the one that Twitter bought? The big one. I'm blanking on the name.
Something review, I think.
Oh, yeah, we got yeah.
Boy, did I pull that out of thin air.
Good job. Yes.
But Review was a platform for the sending of the handling of Archamax. Actually was also they had the content and editorial streams. There's something like 300 newsletters in the mix. And I just thought, that's fascinating. I got to get one of my buddies at Zeta to come on and talk about it, because interesting. If it's not more about the content, I'd be surprised, because acquisitions aren't cheap. And
right. Like it's more about all the actual people that are using it.
Yeah.
Like the specific people, these great creators.
It says healthy things about the future of email newsletters.
It really does. Yeah. This is a good time. This is a good time to be an email newsletters.
Yeah. I think so. And it gives a place for all of those out of work journalists to go do stuff. Sorry.
Right. No, it's true. There's obviously many big changes happening in that space.
Yeah, there are. I had a guest about a month ago, Pierre Lipton from a company called 1440. And I'll connect you guys. You should talk. 1440 is journalism via email. So they would never apply Raz's AI. They want everyone getting the same very objective and fact-based stuff.
Sure.
Which is cool, but they have their own workloads and editorial headaches and sourcing and stuff like that. So who knows what might show up there?
There are some people who do reverse engineer the Rasta platform and use it primarily for the curation.
Okay.
And so they'll get like the 50 articles from their filtered down sources, in their content pool. And then they'll say, well, from these 50, I want everyone to see these 7, let's say.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the AI select, they'll select, but then the value is in the curation piece of it.
Which is an interesting market signal for you, right? Like, is there some decomposition? Is there some pieces of the components that have their own standalone potential life as a business? Jim Barksdale, co-founder of Netscape, said there's only 2 ways you make money in business. One is bundling and the other is unbundling.
That's so interesting. That's a good quote.
And it's true. Back in my head.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, you see the streaming services grappling with that right now. You see the cable companies grappling.
Right.
Yeah, right now you see newspapers arguably grappling with that right now.
No, it's so true. Another really valuable component in the platform is this kind of tertiary thing that we just compiled because we've been now in the content creation business for a while.
Right.
And we just have this like trove of sources. We've just compiled all these RSS feeds from all of these content
Oh, sure.
sources across the web. So we have this content library in the platform that you can just draw from. It doesn't represent all the sources you can use,
Yeah.
but it's just a good jumping off point for a lot of verticals.
I am doubtless not the only person to have done this, but I'm certainly not the first. But I have a whole bunch of Google search as RSS feeds nailed.
Yeah, and you can do that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is, it's kind of instead of me doing the same thing for the 44th time, searching for what's new in the world, like, look, just
Right.
nail that up. And I'll look at it when I get around and log into Raza, and, and then I'll cherry pick the ones that are actually interesting, not boilerplate and all that other stuff. Do what we used to call press release services play a role in your sources as well?
They can. Yeah. I think that the big ones have feeds.
Okay.
And if you do set up a Google News feed, then theoretically that would pick up on relevant press releases
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of not a ton of our association clients use like the Google News feed because they want to feel like the sources they input to Rasta are, very much vetted and authoritative in this space.
Yeah.
But outside of associations, a lot of people use the Google News feed,
Yeah.
especially in like really, really niche verticals.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would pick up relevant press releases.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that's why SEO is the reason for a press release these days. It seems like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Google loves like PR Newswire and
Yeah.
or those things.
PR Webs,
Yeah.
Cision's whole cloud of companies and so on. Yeah, it's no end to the text processing.
Right. Well, and you have to pay for those, so Google knows that there isn't someone just like spitting out a bunch of links that are not trustworthy.
Well, you opened the door to one question I wanted to ask you about. One of the things that concerns me looking forward, you've got this constructive, curatorial employment of AI. One of the things that concerns me going forward is the amount of boilerplate that AIs are gonna start spitting out because people won't get off their butt and actually write, and I fear we're gonna drown text
In bad content. Yeah.
content.
Yeah. Well, there are some really interesting companies out there using all of the knowledge that they get from the entire web to generate content. And it's not awesome right now, but it's getting better and better.
It is. It's, GPT-3, and I think
GPT-3. Yes.
Yeah, GPT-4 is on the board right now, apparently, and so it's going to get better, faster eventually. I mean, most machine writing you can smell right now, but
Yeah.
you just lowered the desk. That rocks.
I did. I just lowered the desk. Because I go back and forth a lot. It's been a godsend during work from home. Have you read the Age of AI by Eric Schmidt and the other
Schmidt and Kissinger, right?
Yeah.
Kissinger, 90s.
Yeah, I know, right?
Awesome.
I'm not 100% through it, but I've listened to a ton of their podcasts about it too.
Yeah.
And they talk about GPT-3 and just how AI needs to be treated very, very carefully.
Like an arms race, right?
Yeah. Right. Like it's like a nuclear weapon, because it could be very destructive. But also, I guess, it's an emerging technology.
Well, and here you are. I mean, you guys employ AI algorithms in doing what Raza does. Like, you've got to have some ethics conversations and some wrestling with yourself.
We definitely do. In the same way that a lot of the social media platforms do, where it's like, people could come in theoretically and get started using Raza and disseminating content before we have a chance to kind of catch if it's not good authoritative content that helps us better inform the world.
Yeah.
So how do you catch those bad actors? That's a tricky thing.
It's in a relatively unregulated field like email. That's a constant problem, and it's not going to go away.
Right.
Easily or anytime soon.
All the ESPs have to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you notice the teeth ESPs have. I'm sure you've had to do that yourself. Like, did you want to have someone whose job was to be the, content police? Sorry.
Right. But
It's
inevitable at a certain point.
Well, if you get human beings, allow human beings on the field of play, some of them are going to hit each other, apparently.
You're always doing
It's a big challenge.
Right. Oh my gosh. In every space.
Well, I should free you up, but I'm so delighted that Paul connected us and that you made
Me
the time
too. This has
to
been
talk
great.
about email. Yeah, I'm going to be very, very intrigued to watch the company roll forward. I think there's great horizons ahead for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're excited about the future.
That's good. How big is the team now? How big's the headcount wise? How big's the company right now?
About 10 of us. We have
a nice size.
Yeah. And what the nice thing is that we, as we grow, we don't have to scale the team as quickly because a lot of the work is done for people. And our developers are so great. They keep the product super tight. And there's not, the scaling of the team doesn't have to happen as fast as the scaling of people using it.
Right. Let clouds do the work.
Exactly. Yep.
So ditto. Well, Erica, thank you so much. My guest has been Erica Rench, COO at Raza. Where does someone go to find Raza if they're curious about it?
Go to raza.io, enter your email. You can do a free trial of the light version of the product. And if you're interested at the enterprise scale, you can email there's a demo page, fill out a form, and we'll connect someone with you to get you started.
And I'll be your live testimonial. Raza's actually having used it, it's quite incredible. You go, really? Is this possible?
Thank you. I appreciate that testimonial. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. We're out.